Okay, Christoph, I think we have to start in the biggest game of the weekend. And that was, of course, RB Leipzig hosting Bayern Munich, a chance for Bayern to avenge their 3-0 Super Cup defeat. But it didn't quite work out. A 2-2 draw. Since they came back from 2-0 down at halftime, Bayern felt reasonably good about themselves. Leipzig felt as if they had spawned not spawned, as if they had blown a massive chance to win this game. They could have been 3-0 up. But once again, I think the most remarkable takeaway from all of this, especially from a Bayern perspective, is that Thomas Tuchel still seems totally at a loss when it comes to understanding why his team don't function better and don't play better football.
Yeah, but
sorry, ich stelle noch eine Frage. Is this an example of a coach trying to deflect blame and say, it's not me, it's the players? They're too stupid to follow my complex tactics. I have to dumb it down again and again for them. Or does he really feel puzzled and quite, despairing about his team just not functioning very well?
I think the latter, actually, because what you can see is sometimes they play well and then they don't within the same game. And so if that would be a fundamental problems, tactics too complicated, I don't know, difficult dynamics between coach and players and so on, you would see it in matches. But as the matches are so inconsistent, sometimes they play a fantastic first part and then it breaks down or crumbles a bit, and vice versa. And I think it's really interesting for me that it seems to be the kind of overall theme for this Bundesliga weekend, when we talk later on about Borussia Dortmund and when we talk about Werder Bremen and so on. It's so difficult, obviously, for teams to play consistent or have consistent performances these days, and Bayern is part of the story, and so that's a long answer to your question. Yes, I think he is in a kind of despair, and you could see it on a Saturday evening when he was on the bench, like, oh, why do they do this? I can't understand it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that he did talk, especially about the tactics, and said maybe my plan was shit in the first half because it didn't work out. And then he said we had to significantly simplify the tactics at halftime. And then Bayern played better, but at the price of the game being very, very open and almost reverting back. It feels to me that Tuchel, who, like all top managers, craves control above all, which is a good fit with Bayern because as a club they crave control and they want to minimize always the factor of randomness and luck. It should be an amazing fit, but somehow this team are not able to produce that kind of control. Now, is it all down to Bayern lacking that Rodri type figure at the heart of midfield? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe
Yes,
that's what they're lacking. But
yeah, but
they still should be better, shouldn't they?
But look at the two goals they conceded. I mean, the first was a counter-attack, and that was a pretty obvious, not so perfect organization of this defensive organization against this counter-attack. Is that down to overcomplicated tactics? No, not at all. The second goal was a goalkeeper mistake after the corner from RB that Sven Ulreich completely missed, and then it was a chaotic situation.
A kuddel-muddle.
A
as we like to
kuddel-muddle, yes, a kuddel-muddle of the finest kind, and then Leipzig was quicker, faster to react and scored the second goal. So, is this down to over complex tactics? No, it's down to being quick-witted in certain situation, able to react and so on. That was a problem there, and yeah. So, but maybe I mean the other part of the story. Yes, Bayern was much better in the second half, but was it down to the change of tactics mainly, or was it down to the change of intensity? Was the intensity a result of a change of tactics? It's the hen and the egg. And
yeah, I mean, Tuchel seemed to think so. He went into extraordinary detail talking about the setup, how they wanted to have this superiority in both halves, close to the ball, and it never managed to do it. And then I guess I have to watch it a second or maybe a third time, understand what he did to simplify things. But that's been a theme for him since taking over in March, talking about how he has to simplify stuff for this Bayern team. In the beginning, you remember it was all about Bayern being supposedly devoid of confidence after the crazy professor era of Julian Nagelsmann, and he had to do simple things. And now, 6 months later, Tuchel is still talking about the same thing. So that to me is very unusual and very interesting, and suggests that it's not just about focus. Because he could have done what you did, Christoph. He could have said, well, you know, the first half we just made stupid mistakes at the back, but then we brought more intensity in the game, and that was nice. But he wanted to talk about the fact that Bayern cannot do what he wants him to do, and he even wondered if his plan in the first half was the right plan to begin with, all very openly, as if he's sort of, you know, dissecting his own coaching in front of millions of people. So that is remarkable, and I think it doesn't add to the sense of stability or lack thereof at Bayern at the moment, that you now have a coach second guessing himself so drastically, in my view.
But is he protecting his players when he says it, or is he attacking his players? So the protecting,
you can read it either way.
So they are either too stupid to understand what he says, or he is too nerdy to make things work for this team.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he knows the answer, but I think it's those two explanations are possible. Maybe there's a bit of truth in both, but yeah, remarkable really to see Bayern in another high-profile game, because this is not, with all respect, Christoph, this is not VfL Bochum. This was a real test, perhaps the biggest one they will face this season away to Leipzig after that game against Leverkusen, and of course Man United in the Champions League. But if you take those big games, apart from the fact that Bayern conceded a total of 7 goals in those 3 games, it's we haven't really seen them move closer to being an elite team in terms of having dominance and control throughout 90 minutes. And that is, I think, the biggest concern.